Yes, you can retire on the Icon of the Seas, and today I'll tell you what it will cost and what you'll get for your money. There's so much talk about retiring on cruise ships these days, but no one ever really crunches the numbers for you. But I'm going to do that right now. For a ship like the Icon, which is in demand, I'm going to have to book as far in advance as possible. Yes, you can do it last minute, but you will want to stay in the same cabin on all of your back-to-back cruises because packing and unpacking gets really tiresome, and that's not the way you want to spend your retirement. For the purposes of this video, I'm going to plan our cruise ship retirement starting in February of 2026. How's that sound to you? As the price starts adding up, you're going to see that retiring on the Icon is a lot more expensive than retiring on most cruise ships. It's new, and that always adds to the price, but it's also got a ton to offer, and you're gonna pay for it. So I'll be sure to do my next video on a much more reasonable ship choice for your retirement. So be sure to hit that subscribe button. I'm a completely new YouTube channel, so I could really use the support. What are you going to see if you retire on the Icon? Well, at least for the foreseeable future, you'll be seeing a lot of the Caribbean, since the Icon is based out of Miami and will be alternating between Eastern Caribbean and Western Caribbean itineraries. That means you'll be seeing a lot of Mexico, Honduras, St. Martin, and St. Thomas. You'll also get to visit Coco Cay once a week, which is pretty amazing for a retirement, don't you think? Honestly, I prefer the idea of retiring on a cruise that moves around a little more. If you hit that subscribe button for me, I'll be able to show you retirement itineraries that include transatlantic and trans-Pacific cruises, and even some that include the Panama Canal. That way you'll get to see much more for your money. But let's face it, if you're interested in the Icon, then you probably are there more for the ship than the destinations anyway. I'm going to go for an interior cabin for this video. As you can see, there are lots of pricier options, but the inside cabins are expensive enough for me. They do have different kinds of inside cabins with a little extra space, but to be honest, I just want to do this as cheaply as possible, and the fact is, if I'm in an inside cabin, I'm not going to be spending much time there anyway. So the size doesn't really matter much to me. I'm just going to be out enjoying the beautiful ship. When you're looking at the cost, be sure to look at this bigger number here because you'll want to include all of the taxes. Well, you don't really want to include them, but you're gonna have to. You might be wondering why I'm not picking out my cabin and actually booking my cruises online right now. Usually if I were doing just 1 or 2 cruises, I'd go ahead and do that. But if you want to retire on the Icon and actually stay in the same cabin, I'd recommend planning it out online first, and then you can pick out your cabin and see if it's available for all your cruises. Sure, you can start to book them online if you want, but the problem with that is that sometimes cabins can get sold out for that part of your journey while you're still busy booking a different leg of it. If you call Royal Caribbean, they can actually put all of your bookings on a 24-hour complimentary hold. At least right now, that's what they'll let you do. I hope they don't change that. And if you do that, you can make sure you get to stay in the same cabin. For this video, I'm not even going to try to book the same cabin because it's the Icon and it's already fairly booked up even this far in advance. If you want to stay in the same cabin for something like a 6-month stretch, you need to book as soon as possible, as soon as Royal Caribbean releases those itineraries actually, especially for something like the Icon. One thing I wanted to point out to you is that when you choose the cabin you want, put a lot of thought into not just what's next to you, but also what's above you. For example, I personally don't like to be too near to the casino because the smoke always tends to drift through the nearby halls. You get that a lot less on the newer ships, but it still can be a problem. But that's just me. But also think about what's going to be above you. For example, a lot of people don't like to be right beneath the pool deck because you might hear a lot of people running around or moving chairs. I also just wanted to say that I'm a huge fan of the bigger ships when it comes to retirement because the smaller ships have fewer activities and restaurants. That's why I really wanted to make this video because the Icon would be a perfect retirement ship if you can afford it. Even if you just eat at their complimentary restaurants, you can still enjoy a great variety. They've got the Pearl Cafe, the Park Cafe, Windjammer Marketplace, that's where you'll find the main buffet, Surfside Bites, Surfside Eatery, the Aquadome Market, the main dining room, Base Camp, Sorrento's, where they've got their famous pizza, El Loco Fresh, and the Vitality Cafe. If you have more money than we do and you're retiring in a suite, you can also eat in their complimentary Coastal Kitchen and the Grove. But of course, this ship has so much more to offer than just good food. It's got an entire water park. I don't know about you, but I kind of think that my retirement is a second childhood. So I really like the idea of having my own water park to enjoy. They've also got some really spectacular shows. Granted, after you've seen them all several times, you might get a little bored. To be honest, I don't think I'd ever get bored. But that is why I recommend booking no more than 3 months on one particular ship. You can switch immediately to another ship that is in the same port, or another idea is to give yourself the treat of a week in a hotel so that you can catch up on things like dental and medical appointments, or meet up with friends. Because yes, you still will need to get things done like getting your teeth cleaned or an x-ray or something like that. And while ships do have medical facilities, they're just for if you get sick or injured. And while we're on that topic, don't forget to get some kind of insurance in case you get sick or need to be medevaced out. That's a nightmare and so expensive. For us, we've always found that insurance costs between 10 and 15% of the cost of our entire trip. But it all depends on factors like your age or whether you filed a claim in the past. Also remember that all of these numbers that you're seeing popping up on your screen only include the cruise, fees, and taxes. They will tack on an extra $18 per person per day for gratuities. And if you want things like the drink package, dining packages where you get to eat at all their specialty restaurants or shore excursions, that's going to be extra too. I won't be adding in any of that because that's out of my price range. You'll get a couple options right away when you're booking. One is that Royal Caribbean will pick your cabin for you. This is always the cheapest way to go. But I don't recommend this for retirement. You want to choose the you pick your room option because you want to try to stay in the same cabin for all your back-to-back cruises. I should also point out that I'm basing this on double occupancy. So at the end of this, I'm going to give you the cost for 2 people to retire together on the Icon. If you're doing this on your own, it won't be half of that, unfortunately, but it will be a little cheaper. If you're going solo in one of their cabins, Royal Caribbean will usually charge you a little less than what it would cost for 2 people because even though you're taking up the same amount of space with their whole cabin, you won't be eating for 2 people, but it's usually not much of a discount. I priced just 1 week on the Icon as a solo traveler, and it turned out to be only about $180 less for a week cruise. So that would mean you could subtract about $9,000 off of the grand total at the end of this video. Around this time, you might start seeing a pattern in the pricing. They're pretty much the same, and that's because we're booking well in advance. When you start to wait until last minute, that's when the prices start going up. And that's why for this video, I'm just going to price out a 3-month chunk of travel and then multiply it by 4 and then add in the gratuities to give you an estimate for a year of retirement on the Icon. And then you'll hear my head exploding because it really is going to shock you. But you also have to remember that if you're taking this retiring on a cruise ship thing seriously, that means you've given up your house and won't have expenses like a mortgage or house upkeep. And you won't spend a dime on food unless you want to eat at specialty restaurants. I'm not including a drink package on this, but you know I'm going to want a Manhattan or a pina colada from time to time, and that won't be included in the grand total either. I will say that Royal Caribbean allows you to bring a certain amount of alcohol on the ship, but that's going to be hard when you're on the same ship back to back. So keep that in mind if you enjoy a drink from time to time because you'll be paying through the nose for it. Keep in mind these prices are always fluctuating, and they also don't include any kind of insurance. There will be a lot of expenses you'll likely want to tack on too. So that brings us to a grand total of $53,169.62. Not much at all, right? But wait! That's just for 3 months. So, since the prices weren't fluctuating too much since we were planning so far in advance, now we'll be able to multiply that by 4 to get a full year of cruises for about $212,678.48. Don't forget that 48 cents. Now we'll tack on the gratuity that Royal Caribbean will add, which is $18 per day, bringing us to $36 a day, since we'll have 2 people in our cabin. Multiply that by 365, and we're at $13,140 in tips for the year. Now our grand total is about $225,818.48 for retiring on the Icon of the Seas for a full year. That includes food and beverages so long as you eat and drink only what's complimentary. It also includes the cleaning of your cabin, about 50 visits to Perfect Day at Coco Cay, around 25 visits each to Puerto Costa Maya, Mexico, Roatan, Honduras, Phillipsburg, St. Martin, Charlotte, Amalia, St. Thomas, and plenty of lovely sea days. I also really hope you'll subscribe to my channel so I can add up some more numbers for you, because there are so many other cruise options out there for retirement that I'd like to share with you. But I can't do it if you don't hit that subscribe button for me. Thanks so much for watching.